want to welcome everyone back to the channel. I have a brother here that really doesn't need an introduction, but I'm going to go ahead and let him introduce himself. So go ahead, brother, introduce yourself.
Hecate mai wihugate kem so we can Clifford Mota yai kaki alembak. How are you today? My name is Clifford Mota. I'm from Ileminian Colony, but also not just Ileminian Colony. I come from um my grandmother also comes from Big Valley Rancheria. My grandfather comes from Elam, and then my grandmother on my father's side actually comes from Koi Nation, Lower Lake. So happy to be here today. Our bloodline represents a lot of different villages, and sometimes when we don't know, we just kind of put ourselves in one area. But talking with Brother Sel, it's good to acknowledge all the ancestors before us. So, my last name is Mota, but I'm also a Fred from over in Big Valley. I'm also a Brown from the Lem side. Um, so a lot of different names to carry, but happy to be here today.
Oh, thank you, brother. Man, yeah, you're really deep rooted into Lake County. So if you want to talk a little bit about your childhood upbringing, on the reservation.
Yeah. So I grew up in Ileminian Colony. I was really fortunate to be involved of the lot of dancing and traditional aspects of life. I grew up with my grandparents, Elvina Hopper Brown, and my grandfather, Jim Brown. In the early 60s, they had come back to the reservation in Elam from the Relocation Act, which they were all in the Bay Area, moved back, and he kind of started up the Shakehead again for the generation to know exactly what that was. And so, I was fortunate to grow up in Elam and a family that was really closely rooted to one another and involved in culture. So I grew up dancing Shakehead out at Yakima when they'd have the old fast pitch tournaments out there, and everywhere that we can go, D under the oak. We went out to Point Reyes a few times, dancing all over the place. But I was really fortunate to have a community that was rooted in our culture and traditions, and so I grew up in that, um, and learned a lot of different things from a lot of different people. So I was fortunate to have those aspects of life and the culture and songs and dances and learn about our Pomo people and how rich in culture and tradition we were, and how that is still it's still the same today. I always let people know that we may dress a little bit different, we may look a little bit different, but that spirit inside us has always been inside of us, so it's never gone anywhere. Sometimes I think that the difference between our people nowadays and the old timers is we don't really have the aspect of that spiritual mind anymore, the connection to the earth and different things. And so, we're I would guess I would say that, as time goes on and some of us get a little bit older, that we start to rekindle that relationship and kind of um help bring forth that to the next generation and understanding that you know this is actually a living religion. The thing that we do is a living thing. And I remember my grandmother when I was young, she would say that this thing is a living thing. It's like a baby that never stays the same. So I believe that, and I know that there's a lot of groups out there nowadays that are trying to rekindle their culture, songs, and tradition, and I'm supportive of those things. But I also come from a generation where things were kind of set in stone, and there were certain things that you did and certain things that you didn't do. So because I was raised in that manner, I'm kind of one of those guys that I have my own opinions and beliefs on what should be done or what shouldn't be done. Not that I share those all the time, because some things are only just meant to, kind of sit and think about it and never meant to be said. So, yeah, I was fortunate to grow up on our reservation with like I said, the Brown family, and be rooted in the culture, and that's what keeps me going today. All of those teachings and all of those things that I was taught when I was young, those are the things that gets me through the day today. And every time that we go out and dance and sing and pray and put those feathers on, I understand that those old ones get to be there with us. So that makes my heart feel good, and it helps me to keep going and know that everything that they done wasn't done in vain, that, we caught it and that we're still catching it. And, the older I get, I'm 44 years old, and now I sing and make regalia when I can, and do the best that I can to honor the teachings that the people who taught me set forth, and to honor those things, and do the best that I can. So yeah, I was really fortunate to, like I said, to grow up on the reservation and be surrounded by culture. So it's helped me throughout my life. It's the thing that's got me through the hardest times in life, and it's the thing that, I guess, when I think about it, the elders knew what we would need in this time, and they gave it to us. And so I'm happy and honored that I can sit and talk about those things, and about the way we grew up, and you know uh, just share some of the experiences and the teachings that were given to me. So yeah, that's a little bit about where I grew up, and I've been to a lot of different places, and experienced a lot of different um, dances and ceremonies, and I'm happy just to teach what I can to whoever wants to learn.
Oh, thank you. That's one thing. I'm Coastal Pomo, growing up on the coast, and that's one thing that was always noted, that the brothers, the Eastern Pomo, your guys' territory, you guys were very serious about what you guys do. You guys were about your business, as well as the brothers up north, like Mud and them and the coast people. But
Yeah,
also note that you guys are rooted deep. You know what I mean? A lot of tribes were displaced. You know what I mean? Like, how they rounded us all up, pushed us on the Mendocino Indian Reservation, and then started pushing us in all different territories. Your guys' tribe, the Eastern Pomo, were usually in their own territory. They were in their own territory. You know what I mean? For many, many years. And that's one thing that I
yeah,
noted with you guys over there. You guys are really about that life in the traditional ways. That's keeping it as authentic as you can. And I would appreciate that and admire that. What are you doing now to being active to helping out your community?
I stay active with the big head ceremonies over in our way in Elam. I do the best I can with helping to get ceremonies ready, and uh, make sure that things are ready for those times of year, the spring dance and the fall dance. And so, not only do that, I travel wherever I'm needed. Like I say, I travel wherever I can to go and help, and do what I can at other places as well as my own. So I stay active with the culture and the songs and the dancing, and we travel whenever we can to whatever ceremony, big times, wherever they ask us to come, we go, and we go and dance and pray and thank the Creator for all of the blessings that He gives to us. And I try to be as active in the community as possible. As life changes and we change as human beings and people, you understand that time here on earth is really, really short. And the older I get, the more I understand that I'm on a limited time. And so I try to spend that time wisely, and do what I can for, my community people and the young people. And I think even though I was brought up in these things, I understand that the youth nowadays face a different thing than we faced. It's still kind of the same um, types of things, but there's a lot more out there for the young people, and a lot more things to deter them from really finding who they are in the culture and the dance. And so, I try to do my best to pass what knowledge I have, and you know do the best that I can to help those people who want to learn. And so I stay as busy as possible. Like I said, when summertime comes, that's kind of our time for the big times, and we travel around, and so I try to do what I can in my community, and pass on the things that I was taught, and just stay busy. I have a real passion for helping the young people, um and just passing what I can to whoever wants to learn. So I stay real busy and doing that. Not only do I do that, I'm also a father of seven. I'm a grandfather of 5 kids and a husband and a brother and an uncle, and so all of those different things, keep me busy in life and just help me to stay on that good path of living good every day and passing what I can. So I stay pretty busy when I can.
That's great. That's great. So I got two more questions for you. These are kind of deep. So um, it's being real and authentic. So what do you want to be remembered for? That's one thing, because we know this. We're like you just stated. We are our time on earth is limited in the spirit world. We're going to continue our journey in the spirit world. It's how it goes. What do you want to be remembered for? When they say your name, what do you want to be remembered for?
That's a really great question, and I'll share a little bit about that question. In like I said, I grew up in inside roundhouse dancing and tradition and song, and even I had all of those. I still struggled, so that means I went down the bumpy road for a long time. I mean, I got caught up in addiction and drugs and alcohol and all those things, and I remember when I was first. Uh, I guess, new in recovery, that was a question that I asked myself. What do I want to be remembered for? Because prior to being in recovery or walking in a good way, I was doing all the other things. And I remember asking myself that same question is, what do you want to be remembered for? Do I want to be remembered for the guy that, man, he can party for 4 days and he can stay up and do all of those things? Or do I want to be remembered for what I remember the people who came before me remembered? And that was a question that helped me get sober. It helped me put things in perspective and understand that, you know, uh, life is really, really precious, and we waste our time with a lot of different distractions and different things. And if I had to answer that question, I'd say I'd want to be remembered for helping my people. I'd want to be remembered for being loving and kind and honoring creator in the spirit. And the thing that I understand is that I don't just represent myself. I represent generations and generations of elders and ancestors that come before me, and so I try to walk in a good way, and I want to be remembered for those things. I want to be remembered as someone in our community that you know uh passed on the knowledge of ceremony and song and did his best here on earth to keep those things going. And so that's what I'd like to be remembered for, those things, all of the good things, the when I think about the elders who came from me, I don't think about all of the negative things or the bad things. I think about how they were inside the roundhouse, how they were tying feathers, how they were loving and kind and they were good men. And I think for me that's something that I want to be remembered for. I want to be remembered as somebody who was a positive light in the community and that passed love and kindness and goodness to his people. So, that was a great question. Thank you for asking. And it really reminds me of all of my times that I struggled. And sometimes as human beings, we don't really think about those times and understand that even in those times of darkness that the creator was there, even in the times of struggle that he was still sending people to help us. And as I get older, I start to realize how strategic and how beautiful the creator is and how he places things in your life that sometimes you don't figure out until years later about how strategic he works. And the thing that I know as I get older is that creator gives us the ability to in a sense to allow us to make decisions, but he also helps us to make those decisions. And as I get older, I start to look at those things and I guess just be more spiritually aware of the work that he does and how he places things. And so, you know, uh, those are the things that I want to be remembered for is just taking care of family, loving the culture, loving the traditions, and doing exactly what was taught to me and passing that on. So that would be my answer, brother.
I appreciate your honesty about mentioning the recovery aspect of it, because most people do have a past. Let's just be real. A lot of people have a past,
Yep.
and I shared with brother Mondo. I said, we have this little life that we were adolescents, partying, but then we also, and that's just a small portion of our lives, but people seem to remember that little part compared to this big old gap of being productive in the community. And this is what counts, is what we're doing now. You know what I mean? And I also want to note that us natives, we have the highest rate of recovery, whether it be mental health, alcohol, drugs, any kind of form of addiction, because of our traditional ways. Some people call it culture, but it's our way of life. It's our ancestors' way of life. It's something that we continue to do on for generation to generation. So we have that authenticity. Not to knock any other race, but we're like rooted into our old ways. You know what I mean? Some people go as far as calling something that's their tradition, but it's like, really, that it's like, that ain't your tradition. That's just something that's just made up. You know what I mean? But us native people, we have our traditional ways to take us back into being on a productive road. And those strong brothers seem like, to me, from the roads that I cross, the strong ones always get tested, bro. And then once they come out of it, we're able to help out the people that are going down that direction. It's like, hey, don't go down there. We've been down there. Go this way. You know what I mean? And that's about guidance. We have that experience, and it's good that we woken up, at a younger age instead of being 60 years old, just finding ourselves. You know what I mean? And it's never too late. But if we got kids, we want to look out for our kids and such. So the last question I have is, what words of wisdom do you want to tell your future generations?
I would just say to the younger generation that your culture and your traditions and all of those things that were here before we were born here are still here. And I feel like for that younger generation, and even for my generation, it was a thing about holding on to something that was old. But as I get older, I understand that all of those things that were left before us are still here. We're still Native Americans. We're still Indian people. Creator is alive and well in this time. And my thing that I would say for the youth is just to remember where you come from and who you come from, and to know that Creator put forth something in place for us to help our people, and those are the reasons why he gave us song and dance and regalia and roundhouse and all of those things, was to help our people. It was never meant to be the hoarder of information or the hoarder of things, but it was meant to give goodness for the betterment of all people. And I think as our youth comes into a different time, to remember that they are important and that they are loved and that they are worthy of the gifts that Creator gives to them. I feel like in certain communities, in certain places, we're too busy picking and choosing who those people should be. No, it has to be from this family, or it has to be from the other family, but Creator decides who those people are. And so, for the youth that come after us, I would just say, do everything according to the Creator. Do everything to the best of your knowledge, and understand that, the medicine that Creator gave for our people is truly real, and it's something that should be respected, loved, and appreciated, and be done in the best manner possible. And I guess over the time that I'm here, that's kind of something that I try to pass on to people, especially the youth, is to know that, in this ceremony, in this dance, that our youth and our young people, they face something different than we faced, just like we face something different than the older generation faced. And that all of these songs and all of these things that are here, that they're meant to help us to get to that next place. And so, do everything that you can, and learn the best way that you can, and go and help your people. No matter what happens, we come from people who loved one another. And nowadays it's there's still a lot of love in our communities, but there's still a lot of division. And the only way that changes is to understand that, somewhere, somehow, we're all connected. And if you don't know, then it's time that you found your bloodline, and found who you're related to. And what you're going to find is that you're related to a lot of people. And so, because it's not spoken or it's not told. And I know, like, for our community, that was something that was really important for the older generation, to tell you who you were related to, where you came from, and who was your relations. And it doesn't happen as much anymore, but I think that knowledge and that information helps us to be more closely knitted as a community, so that we're not so separate, that we all have a lineage in common. And then that helps to keep our communities, um, I guess, closely related, and closely knit, together, in a sense. So, that's something that I would say to the youth. And also, listen to the things that are coming. Listen to the new things that creator wants to give to our communities, the new songs and the new dances and all of those new things that creator sends here to help the people in this time. And I think, as long as we have strong young men and strong women to help lead our communities and remember those things, I think, the youth will be okay. Um, I know, I wanted to share this a little bit. As we were talking, I started to think about things. I remember when I was growing up, there wasn't that many groups. In the early '80s, there wasn't too many groups out there. I remember when we used to go to Yakeyama, that there was a group, coastal group from, I think it was Kashaya and maybe PA, kind of together, but it was them. We had a young group from Elam, that my grandfather and his brother Nelson Hopper, and all of their my aunts and everybody got together and had a small little group. And I think if you went over to the Sacramento Valley, it was Bill Franklin. He was the guy kind of in the valley that kind of did the things. And I think, as we go to big times and I see all the groups rekindling, it's one of those things where it makes you feel happy that, people are starting to revitalize and I guess reconnect themselves to their culture and to their traditions and who they are. And so I think it's a beautiful thing. You know, uh we have a lot of different things that happen nowadays that when I was growing up, just when I was growing up, the older people were really strict on things that you could do and things you couldn't do. So nowadays, even as far as drawing regalia, or putting that spirit on a shirt, or drawing it, like, that was like really taboo. And nowadays, it's kind of become the symbolism of pride in who we are. And so for me, it kind of represents something different. But the teachings that our older people, they were whoa, they were totally against that. That was taboo. You didn't do those things. You didn't, and I think, being involved in culture as long as I have, in traditions, and you see things that start to change, but the change is part of the process. We can never, that the way I look at things is, we can never go backwards. We could only go forward. So because of the knowledge that we have and the knowledge that was given to us, I'm sure, my grandfather didn't teach us everything. He taught us what he could teach us to keep us going, to so that we can take it to the next level. And I think, as teachers, and as people and parents, and people in our communities, that's our job. That's our job, is just to take what we know, and in a good way, and give it to the young people, and see where they take it. So, I was watching the episode uh with Brother Mondo, and I like something that you said. I believe you said, I think it was, I'm too young to be old, but and then you're too not old enough to be old, in a sense. And we kind of fall in that category. You know what I mean? And I really like that comment, because I feel like that. I'm not old, so I can still get out there and bounce around, and dance when I need to dance. And I'm happy that, we have a group of young singers that give us that break to get in there. Because, the older you get, once you become a singer, that's kind of your job. You kind of just sing. But, I grew up dancing, so my first love is always dancing. That's something that's uh my heart and my spirit needs constantly. But when you become the singer, you're more or less singing all the time. So I'm happy that in our group we have some young singers that, if we need to get out there, and we're not old, but the young guys, they call us the old guys now. You know what I mean? And I sit around and think, well, I'm not old, but to them I'm kind of like the old guy. So it's good to get out there and bounce around and just have that, I guess, that little buffer to when you can pass the torch to the younger guys and know that. And that's the thing that for me that I understand, no matter what happens to me, that this thing is going to move forward. It's going to move forward in a way that it should way. And our generation, we're simply laying a foundation for the next generation. So I'm happy to do what I can and just be involved and every day that I wake up here on Mother Earth, I know that it's a blessing. And I think that's something that our people need to hear more often, is that life is a blessing, and in a matter of seconds it could all change for every one of us. So, the first gift that Creator gives me in the morning is the breath of life. He woke me up. And I wake up every morning with the understanding that somebody didn't wake up. And so that helps me to get through my day and like you said, when you're walking a good path, you're going to be tested. And that's just the way I think we get comfortable with the idea that everything's just Creator, and we forget about the great destroyer and what his job is. And he's good at what he does. He's the guy that comes in and divides communities and breaks up happy families and does all of these things to deter our people. And I think as we get older and the culture starts to thrive and get back to that manner where we're really listening to the Creator and listening to the spirit of the land and the people around us, the spirits around us, I think we'll begin to see those things. And I understand that not one place holds everything, but if you get us all together, we hold everything. And that's the beauty about um different reservations, different places, is that we all hold something great for our people. And for me, that's always my thing, is just for us to understand that we're no different than one another. The only thing that separates us is the outside world that tells us that we're from here or we're from there and that we're so different. I travel to a lot of different places and a lot of different ceremonies, and every place I go, I learn something. Every place I go, I learn something, and I try to take that back to my people to give them goodness and just try to speak the good word. And it's tough in this world. It's tough to do what the Creator asks you and us, because we got to walk in two worlds. You know what I mean? I got to hold the job down, and then I got to figure out how to hold ceremony down, and so it's tough. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. And you know, I'm just, every day I'm blessed to just be here. You know, to be doing the things that Creator meant for us, and I understand one thing is that this is the thing that saved me through all of my time, my addiction, and all of the bumpy road that I went to. That Creator sent somebody to help me, and that the generation before me, they were praying for us, and their prayers were heard because I'm here. There's a lot of times where I felt like I wasn't going to make it, or something was going to happen, and to be honest, I didn't care. I didn't care if I was here today or here not here tomorrow. I was kind of in that mode, but I'm thankful every day that Creator sent somebody to save me, and it was through. I never went to any programs. I never went to AA or any of those 12-step programs, which are great things. But I didn't come through recovery that way. I came through recovery, and I'll share a little bit about the story. After my grandmother died in I believe it was '05, I kind of just, she was kind of our spiritual teacher, and once she passed, I just kind of let go of everything, and even I had my family and my wife and all of those teachings. I kind of just went downhill, but Creator sent somebody. to talk to me about things. And it was actually my wife's cousin. And she actually passed away about 3 years ago. Her name was Norma Yeager. She was a elder lady, and I remember she would come and talk to me. And the very first time she talked to me, she shared a dream about this flicker in this big oak tree in the hole. She was telling me about this little flicker and how the flicker's feathers are still the same color. And that little flicker was so proud of his little wing feathers that he was showing her. And she's talking about this dream, and I remember I'm sitting in the car and I'm thinking, I'm the last person you want to talk to about spirituality. I'm the last person you want to talk to about any of those old things. And she just kept talking. She just kept talking and telling me, and I was present in the conversation. Um, but my mind was still thinking like, why is she coming to talk to me about Indian things? Like I'm the last person you should talk to about those things. And you know what, brother? She just kept coming. She just kept coming and talking to me about those things and reminding me. She would say familiar things that I remember my grandmother saying about who we are as Indian people and what ceremony is. And you know, she just kept coming. And finally, you know, I believe she had came over to our house and asked me and my wife to take her downtown to Walmart, and we were at the tail end of this addiction, spinning out of control. And I remember my wife telling me like she was done. She was done with this lifestyle, and we'd go back and forth over that. And it'd always be, my thing was always, well, I'm not forcing you to do anything. I'm not forcing you to do anything. But even in that, I didn't realize that she loved me and she just wanted to be with me. And so she was one of them forces in my life that kept pushing me to be better. And then, like I said, we went to Walmart, and she ended up praying for us. She ended up praying for us in the Wintun language. And it's really funny because me and my wife end up arguing, and my wife ends up taking off, and I'm kind of ashamed. I'm thinking, well, what am I to tell this lady? You know what I mean? Like me and my wife fighting, and she comes out, and I help her put her stuff in the car, and she asks me, "Where's your wife, Julia?" She says, and I said, "Oh," before I even said anything, she said, "It's okay." She said, "Get in the car, we'll find her." And so we're driving. I remember she starts to pray for me. She starts to pray in the Wintun language, and I remember the moment she started praying, it was just getting dark, and she was praying for us, and she was telling me that I was selfish. She said, "You're selfish." She said, "All of these things are happening to your children, and you know what's going on, and you're still selfish, and you don't want to help." And I remember the sun was getting ready to go down, and I remember it was just getting a little dark, and we shined the lights, and there's my wife, and she got in, and she prayed for her. And I remember I came home and I sat on the bed, and I cried like a baby. And after that moment, we never did drugs anymore. We never touched them. And that's kind of how I got here. You know, she came and helped me in that old way, and just told me some things. And what she really did is she really I would say she really woke my spirit up to understand where I was going and how I got there. And so I'm thankful for her. I'm thankful that Creator sent her, and sent me a beautiful wife to help me through those things. And I've been walking clean and sober for about good 17 years. Um and the thing that I found out is that when I got clean and sober, I didn't have any friends. I had people that I had things in common with, but when I was clean and sober, I remember I didn't have anybody coming to my house. I didn't have anybody coming and sitting with me, and so you learn all of these things. You learn about who you are, and where Creator's taking you, and you just learn those lessons in life. Um, and so I'm thankful that the Creator saved me and the Spirit saved me, and that He sent somebody. But I wouldn't change that for anything, because what that did for me is it gave me compassion and understanding for the ones who are out there suffering, the ones who are caught in addiction and drugs and alcohol and all of those things. And it helps me to do what I can to help them out. And I try to do the best that I can to help whoever out. Um, and so I'm really thankful for the journey that Creator put me on, and everything that He puts in my life. Like I'm happy for those things. So even doing this interview, when Brother Armando called me and told me about it, I was really happy to do it, and just share a little bit about my journey and who I am, and how I got here. So, what a blessing it is to be here and to be able to talk and speak a little about, who we are as Indian men in our communities, and that our communities have been held down a lot by women. Strong women, have been the glue of our communities, and I always like to just give a shout out to them and be thankful, because we come from strong people, we come from strong women and strong men. And when I go up to the coast, and I go up as much as I can. I'll go to PA for New Year's, I'll go to Kashaya, I go to all of these places, and I do that because sometimes when I'm at roundhouse ceremony, I'm so busy trying to I just, like I said, I'm just happy to share what I can share, and you know, like I was saying, our community's been held together with the women. That's kind of been the glue of our communities. And I go up to PA and Kashaya and wherever I can go and get what I need to, because when we're at Big Head ceremony, when you're at the ceremony, you're so worried about how things are going and making sure that everything's going the way it's supposed to go, and that the people are taken care of, and the shelters are taken care of, that sometimes you don't always get to just sit and listen and take in the medicine. And so I go up to those places to get that medicine, to gather it, to sit and just watch and listen to the songs, and take in all that medicine, because I know I'm going to need it. I'm going to need it in the future, because like I said earlier, the destroyer is always around. He's constantly doing his job, and I need that goodness. I need to feed my spirit that good medicine. And so I go up to those places to get what I need to help me to keep going in this world, and feed my spirit that good medicine. And I'll go wherever that is. And I love coming up to the coast, because I'm a singer. But when the women sing, because I'm a singer, I know that we can't catch their high, their tone. And it's a beautiful thing to see that. Over our way in Lake County, sometimes it's more of the man thing. And in the beginning, I know it wasn't that way. And so when we go to the coast and we see the strong women singing and leading kind of the ceremonies and being more involved in that, it helps us to understand that in the beginning, that it took man and women to fix things, that Creator ordained both of us to do that. And so we get that when we come to the coast. And so I love coming up to the coast to attend ceremony and get that medicine that I need. So anytime that I can go, I go. And so
All right, thank you, brother. Thank you
yeah.
for sharing your words of wisdom. I gotta say, you got an old spirit, brother, and it's always good to work with the little ones. That way, when they reach our age, they're like 80-year-olds, 90-year-olds with that knowledge. And
Yeah.
that's what it's about. It's about evolving and passing on that knowledge and wisdom to the kids, because they are the one that's going to carry it on. You know what I mean? Our traditional way. So I want to thank you for taking out your opportunity to take your time out and share your story. So for everyone that's viewing, I want you to go ahead and subscribe, like, and if you have any comments you want to leave, go ahead and leave a comment. And I want to tell you, for the ones that never tell you, people that you love them, go ahead today, take the opportunity, tell them you love them. You know what I mean? Because time passes by way too fast. And with that being said, I want to tell everyone, be safe. Have a good day.